Good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to be here. My presentation this afternoon is entitled, What Are We Doing Here? It came about because the Sheffield and District Association, of which I'm a member, had a meeting about 12 months ago saying, what is the future for the District Association? So I thought it would be a good title for anything that I did as I went around the district associations in this presidential year. And a quote from Henry Ford to set the scene for my presentation today. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. Now, it started off, did my theme, as What Are We Doing Here? And it was a title, as I said, that I thought of many months ago. But then, lots of thought and consideration later, perhaps my theme should be updated to Why Are We Here? With the subtext of, haven't we got something better to do? Well, today is the opportunity for you to have your say in the running of the District Association. Are we here simply out of a sense of duty? Is there a real job to be done, or are we just going through the motions? Today, I am here in my role as General Assembly President. For 1 year, I will be the public face of the Unitarian denomination. From now until April 2015, I'm expected to represent Unitarians within and without our community. This will involve giving talks like today to district associations, taking services in churches and chapels the length and breadth of the UK, and at this moment in time I'm expecting to go to at least 40 chapels and churches in my year of presidency. All people elected as General Assembly President bring their own experience of life and knowledge of the Unitarian denomination to the role. Recently, the Executive Committee of the General Assembly decided to give the President an open invitation to all their meetings as an observer to improve communication and awareness. I attended the May committee meeting, and it was very instructive in that it highlighted the breadth of issues that the Executive Committee deal with and how they attempt to maintain a strategic approach to issues that arise in the course of their management of the General Assembly's affairs. I was given permission to make comment on items on the agenda. Probably a very important decision that has to be made this year is the process for electing the President and the Vice President for 2015 and 16. But there were other things that I commented on as well. But I feel that the attendance of the General Assembly President at the EC meetings is more than improving communication and awareness of the work of the EC and its strategy groups. It's a reminder to the Executive Committee of their accountability to all the constituent parts of the Unitarian denomination. Presidents are asked by the EC to send in a written report of their activities, including the issues that are raised with them by Unitarians while on their travels. And henceforth, I and future presidents will be able to speak in more detail to the EC about concerns that are raised. As General Assembly President, I have the unique privilege of meeting more Unitarians in the time space of a year than anyone else. And I would be very grateful for your feedback as I hope to build on the comments I get and make it into a report which I'll share not only with the Executive Committee, but those people who take forward on a day-to-day basis the work of our denomination. In this year, the Executive Committee and the 4 strategy groups will be working on the future vision for the denomination, and they're going to be holding a strategy meeting at Manchester Cross Street in September. So with that in mind, I'd now like you to do a little exercise for me. And the questions on these sheets are why you as an individual are here, why being here is important to you, what you hope to achieve by being here, what are for you the important local issues, and what should we be doing nationally. If you want to continue to write, do, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask you individually, if you wish, to share one of your thoughts with us.
I feel that the Western Union is an isolated unit, and that GA and the exec don't really understand how big Western Union is in distance. So our main problem is the courses that are run all appear to be run in the Midlands area or London. And for us, for Tony to come from Cornwall to London, or even as he's doing at the moment with the Worship Studies Group to Bridgewater, takes him about 4 hours.
Yeah, I mean, following on from what you've said there about the distance, I've actually written here what I think the GA should be doing for us nationally, and I put that geography, our geographical area is our biggest problem, and you can't change that. So I think that nationally we need the General Assembly to provide us with, and the funding for, at least one trained minister, probably two, or other trained personnel that have a remit and full backing from the General Assembly to support our district and to help us to support the churches we've got. Because I've written down here, without that, I think there will be a slow decline. And there is no Unitarian presence in Cornwall at all. So nationally, you have to provide us, I'm sorry, you have to, with the facility to do something about it. Because Barbara knows, we've had workshops in the past, haven't we? When we look at this issue, don't we? We go through times over the years when we've had workshops, we've looked at it, we've chatted and chatted, and the whole thing comes back to geography. And we can't change that. So there we are. The ball's back in your court.
Thank you.
Well, it's quite obvious with what's been said already that money is a very big problem. We know that the General Assembly is not flush with money. The Sustentation Fund is not flush with money. And for some years I've been advocating that the Western Union promote a resolution urging a national appeal. And I've always been told it's not the right time. And that's before the bank failures. And it never will be the right time. But unless we seek the Bowden Trust financing, which doubles our contributions, it can't go on forever. And that will be half the income. It's already in an appalling state. And we do need to find some rich backers, really. Dare I say, the Harrises of Harris Manchester College. But I understand that the carpet industry is in decline, and Lord Harris is not as wealthy as he once was. That's just one example. But I'm sure there must be other people.
Well, my suggestion is not one for internal politics in the GA, but one for Unitarianism to take on some subject or project by which we would be known to the general populace or public. Now, you all know that the Quakers have the peace initiative, as it were, and they're well known for promoting peace and not war. But I was very taken by a talk given last October or November by a young lady called Jane Burston, in which she said we've got to do away with profits as the motive for business and replace it with what she called social good. Social good is doing all sorts of things which help the community and help life generally. And she says profits are not a dirty thing. You've got to make profits in order that you can do social good. And I think that perhaps if the Unitarians were to take on a cause like that, we could become well known, because like the Quakers, we need to go, of course, for integrity and good ethics and so on. But I suggest that might be a cause that we could adopt.
Well, I'm here today because I care about the Western Union and I value its existence. And why is being here important to me? Because it's a tangible statement of my interest in the Union. Important local issues, the big one I think is survival. What should we be doing nationally? I'd put, most of the time we don't seem to know what people think, what they care about. And I think that might be something that's lacking nationally. Whether it's a social programme or what it is, do we know, does anybody know what we think, what we care about?
A little while ago, there was a lot of angst amongst the districts about knowing what the EC was doing, what it was discussing and so on. And there was a meeting in Manchester where it was, all this was discussed and certain things were promised and have happened. I now see, before every executive meeting, a list of items on the agenda. I see no backup papers, so I have no idea what these agenda items are. I understand that the editor of the Inquirer cannot attend, and I'm sorry, but all this smacks very much of closed government. And as Unitarians, I think we should be promoting open government. We haven't apparently got a Freedom of Information Act in the Unitarian movement. So, but we have one, surprisingly enough, nationally. You know, could you please take back to the EC the fact that when we sent representatives to council meetings, we had direct input. As I say, James has been brilliant. He's done his best to bring the EC to us and to take us to the EC, but it's not the same as one of us doing it.
We need help in worship leadership, professional worship leadership. We're doing what we can. You know how diverse we are. You've seen how our people are ready to contribute and help. But we've got, I back up the suggestion that we have, some help provided by actually one or two ministers funded from some central fund. You know our hearts are in this. You're not going to doubt anything else when you come away from here. So can you take that back, please?
On a practical level, I'm here because of being part of the hosting congregation of this annual meetings. It's a rare privilege and pleasure to do that and to meet up with all these dear people that sometimes we don't see for a long time, and to gather inspiration and reaffirmation from a meeting like this. So I'd just like to say thank you all very much. And it's great that those of us that are here today are here. And I hope that there may be even more in future years. Thank you.
I mean, it's been great to listen to the comments. I'm sure Marion would agree. I hear there's a worship studies course going on. Sort of great. I hope that people retain their enthusiasm and move on to the further levels. One of the things I do in retirement is I'm one of the tutors. Regarding sort of connection and interaction with the EC, I hope you'll be reassured to know that you're not the only district who has felt that way, and certainly not the only individuals who have felt that way, except that one of the things that's encouraged me recently is to see in various places that, and please don't take this the wrong way, you do seem to be getting your act together in terms of publicity and so on. It's great to hear for those of us in other parts of the country too. It's super. We wish you well. And do hang on, for goodness sake, do hang on in all your local situations, because it really is worth it. The world does need us, increasingly so. We must hang on. We must bear our witness. I wrote down something similar to what one person said about we need to nationally be presenting to people the notion of the commonwealth. That's a phrase, increasingly a phrase for me, promoting the commonwealth.
I don't want to say very much, but I just do want to say regards what should we be doing nationally. I hope we can avoid the sort of character assassination that we experienced at the GA this year regarding the choice of president. I don't understand all the ins and outs of choosing president, and I don't know exactly what happened, but it wasn't a very good experience for anyone concerned. But I do feel the executive did need some support, but I'm glad to hear that the president's being included, and maybe one or two more people need to be included. Thank you.
There is going to be an election very soon, and what you need to do is to make sure the people that are being put on there are the people that want it to change. Persuade people to stand for the EC, get them in there, and for actually then those people to make the changes happen. It's not long, but that's the way to do it.
You're already aware that I see my role as a conduit, and I will do my best when I attend EC meetings to make sure that the comments I get from Unitarians across the country are fed in. And hopefully I will push them to, as James said, take the messages that they're getting on board. So now I'm going to return to my theme for today. And I said that my instinctive preference is to stay in the background. Meeting and greeting people is my least preferred chapel job. But one of the objectives I've set myself this year is to push myself out of my comfort zone. The scariest bit of being president for me is meeting people, knowing that it's up to me to take the initiative and talk to them. I've only had 2 months of engagement so far, but I am going up to people and starting conversations, and I'm feeling quite proud of myself for that. I've found that what gives me most satisfaction is the sense of achievement I gain from using whatever lessons I've learnt in life, using the skills and the knowledge I've gained to carry out tasks, however small or large, for the good of people I work with and the organisations I work with every day. Looking at our wider community, here is a quote, and I wish I knew where it came from. A healthy congregation worships together in love and works together in love. So maybe our enduring motivation for being here is the satisfaction, the sense of well-being and the fulfilment that we get from working together. Perhaps we're also here because, and it's been said already, that we reckon that there's more to life than everyday getting and spending. We're here because we don't have to look far within our Unitarian communications to find people who really want to work together. We're also here because our communities offer a context in which to explore in freedom the making sense of life. No talk would be complete without some visual aids, and my first could be said to represent our togetherness. There we are. Isn't that a beauty? This was made for me by one of the guys who seconded me this year at the GA meetings, Colin Partington. My nickname for this is Bigfoot, obvious. Colin is a friend and a co-worker and has known me for many years, and we worked together on the Nightingale Centre Committee. We joined a team training day with the centre staff last year, and we took part in a number of exercises designed to get us thinking about how we could work better together. We had 7 big feet, similar to this, and we were asked in groups of 6 to go across a field from start line to finish, about 50 metres, without our feet touching the ground. We weren't allowed to let go of these feet. So it was an exercise in showing us how interdependent we are, and I think today is an exercise in showing how interdependent you are as well, and how interdependent the whole Unitarian denomination is. Colin made this for me, and it symbolises how important it is to work together in harmony, recognising each other's strengths and weaknesses, and supporting each other, and crucially, to have fun. We're also here because we care. We care about this precious earth of which we are custodians, about the eco-challenge, about injustice in the world, about the conflict that induces, about misuse of drugs and the policies supposedly combating it, about the treatment of women in parts of the world, about the effect of homophobia, about the abuse of children and the vulnerable, and the list goes on. We are here because we can be. In the 21st century, we've forgotten what it means to be illegal. In 2012, we commemorated 200 years of the passing of the Trinity Act. It's only 200 plus years since it became illegal to profess Unitarian views. The Trinity Act, we might say, with tongue-in-cheek, could be interpreted as mealy-mouthed in its double negative way of granting the freedom to profess Unitarian views. It is an act for the relief of those who impugn the doctrine of the Holy Trinity. Impugn is an interesting word. It could be interpreted as value-laden, even insulting, as it means to call into question or raise doubts about the honesty or integrity of someone. In May, I gave the toast to civil and religious liberty the world over at the asparagus lunch at the Evesham Chapel. The history of the lunch is very interesting. It was started in 1782 when dissenting ministers gathered to promote and encourage an earnest and active interest in all matters reflecting religious liberty, particularly in matters affecting equal rights of all denominations before the law. Each May, they gathered in Evesham Chapel under the guise of an asparagus lunch, and if they were questioned, they replied they were in Evesham to view the asparagus fields and enjoy an excellent repast. We are here because we feel we have a faith, a way of life worth sharing with others, and I've got another visual aid which is very familiar to you all. A wooden flaming chalice. And you probably guessed, made by the same friend who made Bigfoot. This is a symbol of our faith. It enables us to light the flame of freedom, to share our joys and concerns, and it's a focal point for our worship, proclaiming we are here because this is who we are, Unitarians who work and play and worship together. We're here because we have an honourable tradition of service to the community. We still stand on freedom of inquiry, reason and enlightened conscience. The presidential badge is engraved with the words freedom, reason and tolerance. Our present day strapline is nurturing faith, embracing life and celebrating difference. I'll finish off with this ethos statement, which appears at the top of the agenda of the Executive Committee meetings. We Unitarians and Free Christians are united by our ethos and values. We aspire to create a loving, caring, religious community within which we value people in their diversity and uniqueness, encourage freedom of thought and speech, support spiritual exploration, create celebratory worship, advocate justice, liberty, honesty, integrity, peace, and love. Hence, we strive to make the best of the life we have, be democratic in our practice, celebrate life in its many forms, respect people whose beliefs and attitudes are different from our own. Thank you.